Yo, everybody, what's good? It's Tuesday night. It's your boys. It's Flyers Talk A2D. Tonight on tap, a lot to unpack over the last couple days. You had the Flyers Carnival over the weekend. Some things were said. We're going to break some of that down. We're going to give our thoughts, opinions on the whole situation. And while we do that, we got third period action to live react to between the Flyers and the Capitals. We're at a little under 30 left to play here in the third period. It is tied up 2-2, but you know what to do. You got to hit that like, hit that share, get your ass in the comments, get in on the conversation. It's time to drop the puck. Let's go start it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sensuti along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What up?
The Broken One, Rob Povia.
Yo, what's up, knuckleheads?
And we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the Doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you got any aches and pains, go hit up the doc at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. After a couple of sessions, either in Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you will feel as good as new. Specialized Physical Therapy. Go hit up the doc. And the question for the poll today is, after 54 games, the fan base is already worried that bringing in Rick Tocchet was a bad hire for the Flyers. Agree or disagree? And that kind of rhymed. The point being, though, is that the Flyers are kind of going through a bit of a skid before the break of the Olympics here. And right now they are tied 2-2 in the game currently, with a goal that was scored by Beauvillier right in front of Vladar. No one was there to clear the porch out. Point being is that Flyers have had their struggles recently, and is it possibly centered around Rick Tocchet? Or maybe this is just a skid, and after the Olympic break, they'll get back to the way things were. No matter how you feel about it, do you agree or do you disagree? Is the fan base really worried here that Rick Tocchet may have been the bad choice to make when it was time for them to make a new coach? Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
I kind of made this a little controversial, but I also feel like I kind of made it a little bit loaded too. So there's definitely a couple different ways you can go. I'm going to agree with it. I think I'm worried, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Just how this team has played. They started out great. They looked like they were starting to head in a really good direction, and maybe the rebuild was coming to an end a little bit sooner than later. And I expected this team to come back down to earth a little bit, but I think this team came back to earth a little too hard. And I think even with some of the body language that this team is showing right now, maybe the hiring was bad. I mean, I was never a Tocchet guy to begin with. I didn't want him. He wasn't even in my top 5 choices of coaches that I wanted to come here. I wanted him to go a little bit younger than Tocchet, but me being the way that I am, I give everybody a shot. There's no reason to not give this guy a shot. So, I mean, there's still a lot of season left. A lot can happen in this time, but the way that this team is kind of rallying in a struggling situation kind of does have me concerned. The only guy that has really been showing up consistently, at least over the last week, has been Travis Konecny. And that to me is a concern. So it shows me that everybody else under him, yeah, a lot of young players, but he's the only one right now that's acting like that he wants to get out of this funk. He wants to get out of this slump. So there's a lot here. But to me, I agree. It's definitely going to be – that could change for me in the span of a month, 2 months, maybe even in the next year. The question is, for me, does he get fired this year? No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does anything bad enough that he's going to wind up getting fired. But it's showing me that maybe hiring Tocchet now maybe was just a little too early for a team that's still rebuilding.
All right. Robbie, how do you feel?
I just think it's ridiculous that we're having this conversation from the beginning. I agree to the poll, and it's repulsive. I mean, yeah, you already mentioned it. There's calls for Rick Tocchet to be fired after one season. Are you for real? But these are the times we live in where opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they change rapidly. These same folks were crowning Tocchet a mere 13 games ago, and subsequently Danny B and Jonesy for hiring him. Leading up to the Anaheim game. Am I wrong? A little bit of a flip-flop much? Look, I get it. During the last 13 games, they've lost 10 of them, including a 6-game winless streak, and that horrendous game to give away in Utah was a really low point of that stretch. If you expected all highlights from a rebuilding team, then that's on you out there, Flyers Nation, that are complaining about Rick Tocchet right now. If you want to criticize Tocchet on the minutes he's giving Mitchkov, you may have a point there. Brian, you talked about it. Keith Jones may agree with you too. But as Rick said, MM came into camp out of shape and he's never quite caught up. And he says it's impossible to catch up. And when it comes to playing one-on-one or making a play on the rush, he often can't execute. I mean, we've seen tonight better play and maybe this, airing of grievances I mean, you're going to have Mitchkov always play well, always step up and get the hair on the back of his neck against Ovechkin. But I just think maybe more minutes would help give him more opportunities. But I don't disagree with Talk here. Everyone needs to earn their ice time. Maybe not giving him right wing minutes while having a recent opportunity to do so is a mistake. But again, Mitchkov is not performing up to standards. It really makes me wonder more about MM than Rick Tocchet, to be honest, because I just, if you're not performing right in any job, do you expect to get promoted? You got to earn those minutes.
All right, then. So when it comes to this particular poll, as I will agree, but I'm not shocked that people are worried. This is a very normal reaction from people in the fan base where, 1 second everything's going great and the next it's a complete and utter disaster. People who are saying the same old of, oh, well, Rick Tocchet shouldn't have been hired. He's a former Flyer. Why are we doing that? I will stress this again. I said this before. We've gone outside of the organization plenty of times, and we had not so good results when we did that too. So if that's going to be the argument right there, I'm going to tell you right now, when did Alain Vigneault ever play for the Flyers? Never. When did Michel Therrien? Never. Did Mike Yao ever play for the Flyers? No, I don't think he did. Did we get any results out of them? No. Did we get anything out of Hackstool? No. So I'm going to stress this again, guys. Just because Rick Tocchet formerly played with the Flyers does not automatically disqualify him. So if that's going to be your argument, I'm just going to shoot that shit right the fuck down right now. However, now, if your argument is he the right fit for this team? I understand why you're having concerns. I get it. Things are not going well right now. But, again, stress this. This is a season of 82 games. You're going to have bad stretches. Is it way worse than we wanted it to be? Yes. It's a lot worse than we had hoped it to be. Does that mean the Flyers are dead in the water? Actually, no. As a matter of fact, they're still very much in it. The season isn't over. And the break for the Olympics could very well be what the doctor ordered. They could easily come back out of this break and start swinging again.
I agree.
So I think people panicking right now over Rick Tocchet, it's like, okay, let's calm down just a second here.
Year one. The team isn't fully rebuilt. There's still pups. I mean, what happens when Porter Marteau comes and plays at the end of the season? That being a shot in the arm. It's going to happen. And people inflating, puffing their chest, thinking that Mitchkov's the next coming of Lindros. You got to check your expectations. This world makes me sick.
Yeah.
It makes me sick that you're even talking about year one in a 5-year contract for Rick Tocchet.
Mm-hmm.
It just it. I mean, it's repulsive. I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm contrarian there. A lot of people are down. Brian, you said that Rick Tocchet wasn't your guy. He maybe wasn't on the top of my list either, right? Because I thought it was a bit of nepotism, but I like what he came in here, and I love that you want to improve this team 5-on-5, which he's done, right? North to South might not fit Mitchkoff yet, but he's still developing. He's a kid in a new country.
Yeah, 20.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like face facts. We've seen other young stars struggle in their sophomore year of recent. For example, Bedard regressed in the second year before taking 2 steps forward in his third, and he isn't in a country he's never played in and doesn't know the language. So, I mean, I think Danny, addressed that too earlier, Brian. That by reinforcing the fact that Mitchkoff's not going anywhere because. It's ridiculous having these conversations. It's clickbait garbage.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, and I fully agree because now it's a point where people are probably going to choose sides. If I got to choose me personally, if I'm choosing between Rick Tocchet and Matvei Michkov, I'm taking Michkov 99 times out of 100. I'll send Tocchet to kick rocks. This organization cannot afford to lose another potential superstar. This kid is going to do wonders. He's going through a little bit of a slump this year. The only narrative that I'm kind of I'm overhearing coming out of Rick Tocchet's mouth is that he came into camp out of shape. Okay, so what is this organization doing to help him get back into shape? That's my only question. And I thought it was a good question. I was posed that question this afternoon while I was at work. So, I mean, I get it. He's 19 years old. He's a kid. He's got a lot of maturing to do on and off the ice. There's no doubt about that. But the kid's going to be a superstar. There's no doubt about it. Some people want to make a big deal about him playing his off wing. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I really don't. You can play one side, you can play the other. The only thing that's different is maybe the angles. And
maybe you should learn both, right?
Right. And 100%.
Oh my God. What a concept.
Yeah. Make him versatile. But for me, the thing that stuck out to me was Keith Jones on the Philly Flyers podcast was he said, it's important to keep reminding them to play our young guys. That to me is a little bit of concern when it comes to Rick Tocchet and how often he's playing guys like Nikita Gurbankin. He's been one of the guys that every time he's on the ice, he's so noticeable. And it's not because he's getting on the score sheet. It's because, like Noah Cates, he's doing a lot of little things right. You want to talk about a guy who should be playing more? It should be him. He should be on the ice every single night. That's kind of where, like, and I get it. There's guys who's still got to come off the books. They're still cleaning up the roster from Chuck Fletcher and some of those other guys. But I mean, you got to figure out ways to get more of these young guys on the ice so that way they can develop a little bit more and move a little bit faster through all this. It's my only thing.
Well, heading into the third period, Michkov was a second shy from 11 minutes through 2 periods. So it looks like the message from upper brass was heard. And I mean, but Michkov, to his credit, he's earned the more time tonight. He's been really creative in the offensive zone and showing what he's learning. Because a lot of this development needs to happen, on the practice ice, right? At the whiteboard. And that's what goes down your sophomore year. The book's out on you. You got to make the adjustment now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have comments coming in from Ryan S 1827 saying rebuild. They're still rushing and not focusing on a rebuild. Keep talking about the playoffs when it should be a full rebuild. I will never understand this organization. He also says that they don't stick to. Oh, it's Swoopy. Oh, okay.
I think it's Swoopy.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's up, Swoopy? They don't stick to a plan. They say one thing, but don't do it. It's frustrating. And John's saying the Flyers won't be a winning organization until they sell the team. I'm sick of getting false hope. I've waited since the 70s for another cup parade. That's a long time. I mean, I will say this, that, the rough stretch, it's not fun. It is bullshit that they're going through this right now. But at the same time, it's going to happen during the 82 game stretch. I understand the frustration. I don't want this team to not be in the playoffs, but at the same token, I also understand that it's like, well, this is a team that's going to have these issues. This is what's going to happen to them. This is a team that is not built yet for getting into that spot. I think we've talked about their lack of depth. We've talked about this multiple times, how their lack of depth will bite them in the ass, and it has bit them in the ass. We watched it happen.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it happen. I mean, hell, look at the game against Buffalo. It's the best example I could throw out there. They had suffered a shit ton of injuries. They got their shit rocked by Tampa 2 games in a row. They go face Buffalo, who was a hot team at the time, and their lack of depth came through. Simple as that. Simple as that. You know, this team is not ready. I think we can just simply say that. And the way they played early on in the season, and this is something I also want to stress, we cannot devalue what they did, though. That's the problem. We're devaluing what they did early on in the season.
Correct.
We're immediately pulling the rug out and saying, oh, never mind. That was all bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really play those great games. Okay, yes, it was all stupor. Every team they faced was drunk when they faced them on the ice and couldn't play hockey that day. Come on, guys. The Flyers played very well and got off to a hot start. Hot starts don't last. It didn't last. It was what it was. It went a lot longer than we expected it to. They came back down to earth a lot harder than we hoped they would. This is what happened. This is what we're going through right now. This has happened before. This has happened several times before. The last 3 years, this has happened. Actually, I'm sorry, the last 4 years, this has happened. Minus last year. Get off to a hot start, come crashing back down to earth. This isn't anything new.
No,
It's nothing new.
It's the roller coaster season of having a team that's still relatively. I mean, they're the 4th youngest team in the NHL. Like, there's bound to be growing pains with any team that's in this situation. Now, there's like I said, this roster still, yes, it needs to be cleaned up. There's still guys that are coming that need to fall in line here, and they're going to need time to develop as well. Porter Martone, Alex Bump, Jack Nesbitt. You know, these guys they're all going to need the time. Now, do I think this team can still be a playoff team in that time span? Absolutely. Now, are they going to be a cup contender in that time span? I don't think so. At least not for another 3 years, I would say. Because again, you still have those guys that are going to need to develop. But I mean, if Porter Martone comes in here and starts hitting right away, that's going to be a step forward. To me, for this thing to really take a step forward is going to be, you're going to need to sell. And I know I said last week that they should be a conservative buyer. I may have been completely off base when I said that. And for me, they have to sell at this point. I think that's the most important thing. You sell. If you find a good young piece that is going to help take that step forward, absolutely go for it. Go all in on it. But this team has to sell. They have to clean up this roster and allow some openings to get some of these younger players up here. Dever Barkey's not going back down anytime soon, and he shouldn't. Gurbenkin, he shouldn't be out of the lineup. He should be in the lineup every single day. Michkov should be he should be getting more than 10 to 12 minutes a game.
Well, then who are you moving then?
Potentially a Tippett, Ristolainen, guys like that. I mean, you got to open up space somewhere. Unfortunately, some players that we're going to like are going to have to go. At least if you move a guy like Tippett, you at least have Porter Martone that you can potentially replace him with. So that could be a guy who, he's on the border 20 goals. And you want to see him get one more before the break. Yeah, maybe Porter Martone, if he comes up this year, turns into that player that's going to make us think, Owen Tippett who? You know? But it's a tough situation because the Flyers have a lot of contracts. They're going to be tough to move.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this, though. The big problem that we're running into, and I think that a lot of people I think the theme that we're getting here is a lot of people are confused. they don't know what the Flyers are trying to do. Where they feel like, okay, is this team trying to be competitive or is this team trying to rebuild? I feel like people are worried that this team is trying to be competitive when they shouldn't try to be. But I also am going to stress this too. No team's going into the season tanking. If they
Right.
just happen to be playing well, they're playing well. It is what it is,
I mean, if you believe you're playing with some players that are part of your future now, what's wrong with them getting a little taste of the playoffs? Because the pipe dreams of landing down and getting Gavin McKenna, stop it, because it's not happening.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, 6 years is way too long for this organization to not be in the playoffs. They have to
Right.
get there this year. TK's showing his frustration. He's tired of missing the playoffs. He wants to get back more than probably anybody on that roster. They
And
have to get back there at some point, and it
there's
has to be soon.
There's nothing wrong with that frustration. I want them to be frustrated. I want them to desire to get back into the playoffs. But at the same time, we also have to remember, again, taper the expectations and realize it's like, okay, this team's depth is just not there. If it's not there, it's not there. And there's nothing you can do about it. And the longer the season goes, if it winds up being where they miss again, then at the end of the day, we know. It's like it was the same thing we talked about earlier. As you brought up, Rob, multiple times, when injuries start coming in, what's going to happen? Is this team going to start falling apart? We all saw what happened, didn't we? It's like that's what's going to separate them. That's what's going to separate them from the teams that are consistently going to make it at the end.
That's why I'm not looking to make a lot of subtractions, because as these younger kids go up, they're going to build the depth and guys are going to fall down the chart naturally, right? But if you want to try to move, if you're able to move a contract like Tippett, I'm on board with that. I can't argue the merit in that. I would hate to see Bobby Brink go, but the get would have to be good. It definitely be, and where you're just playing chess and you're going to upgrade with potential pieces, but that's just the thing. They're potential pieces. Right. I have to see it on NHL ice to believe it.
Right. Swoopy, in what way wasn't it a true rebuild? They broke it down. They broke it down as best they could. The past couple of trade deadlines, they've traded for picks. As they always score when I'm talking.
They do. You need
and
to start talking.
Boy. It was
right.
You need
to. You know what? When we're doing a live reaction, Rob, listen, brother, I love you, but you and me, we got to shut up.
I'll put myself on mute.
He's allowed to talk. Yeah.
I'm on timeout.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I am too. You know what? I am too. Here. I'm out.
Hey, you better. Hey, I can bring you back in. You better knock that off. You forget. I got powers too, brother. They sold pieces at the deadline. They didn't give up a whole lot to bring in a guy like Zegras. They didn't give up a whole lot to bring in a guy like Drysdale. Well, technically they didn't. They gave up Cutter Gauthier, but
speaking of Drysdale, that might possibly be his goal that was just scored.
It looks like it. It doesn't look like it gets tipped by Dvorak.
No, it doesn't look like
it. Looks like it just missed him.
I think it just went off the pad.
It also looks like they may be considering goaltender interference, maybe.
It looks like they were, but I don't see it.
I don't see it either. It's a possibility.
I mean, what would...
There's Dvorak right there.
Dvorak's fine. I don't see any goaltender interference.
Nope. It's close, but good.
No, everything's good there. Yeah.
So back to what I was saying. It should be JD's goal. It doesn't look like Dvorak touches it at all. It actually looks like it goes off the pad of Stevenson. Yeah. So they give away some pieces. They got draft picks back. They had a bunch of rentals they brought in, traded away. Sean Walker got pieces for him, got pieces for Lawton. They did everything over the last 4 years that a rebuilding team should be doing. Now they have to put the pieces in place now. They have to start seeing what they have. They have plenty of stock and down on the farm system. Like the Phantoms are developing nicely down there. They're one of the best teams in the AHL. Nick Schultz is doing a fantastic job as the head coach. What do you mean no true tank? You can't tank in the NHL. And either way, when they did tank, they got Matvei Michkov and they got Cutter Gauthier.
And one of those players isn't even here anymore.
And one of those players isn't even here anymore. And then even in turn, they went ahead and they traded for a 21-year-old right-handed shot defenseman who was the second best defenseman in his draft class. They're doing everything right. They have to clean up the roster. They have to, and I hate saying it because I love them. You have to figure out what you're going to do with Coots.
You do.
You have to figure out what you're doing with Ristolainen. You have to get a number one defenseman. You have to get a franchise goalie.
I would argue and say that, quite frankly, with where they're at, I mean, the problem with Coots is they're going to have a challenge with that because of his contract. His contract is kind of hard to move.
It's going to be a buyout in 2 years.
It would have to be.
Mhm.
And then on top of it, with Risto, he only's got 1 year left in his contract?
1 or 2.
Right. So his will be a little bit more manageable. The point is, though, is that there is going to have to be some difficult decisions that need to be made here because there's clearly players that are not moving the needle, or there are players who really were given way too much. Like Risto was obviously overpaid.
Yeah.
But the point being is that while those decisions need to get made, the fact of the matter is still this, that the Flyers team is not ready, and they're clearly still got a lot of work to do. And Swoop is saying those signings too, Bry, with Coots and Risto. Oh, and Tippett when saying it was a rebuild.
You need pieces, dude. Like rebuilding teams are doing this too. You're finding your guys that are supposed to be your franchise guys or guys that you think are going to be a long-term answer who are young enough. Coots was even before the rebuild. His contract was signed in Buffalo. So the Flyers just took it over. Flyers did not sign him. His contract was from the Buffalo Sabres. They just took his contract. That being said, Tippett at 25 years old, Fletcher did he really sign him? I thought he was signed in Buffalo.
I think that Risto was signed by Fletcher.
That sounds like a Fletcher move, honestly, but whatever. That's not my point. My point is this. You're bringing in guys that you think are going to be key pieces, key factors in helping these young guys develop into NHL players, and you want them to be here. Tippett, at the time they brought him over, was supposed to be a centerpiece because he was one of Florida's top prospects. Couldn't crack the roster because of the same issue that the Flyers are having right now. Too many wingers. No spot for Tippett. There's teams do it all over the place. Tippett being signed had nothing to do with it being or not being a rebuild. Ristolainen, not being or being a rebuild. Coots, not being or being a rebuild. TK, being or not being a rebuild. It doesn't, you need your core group of guys. These guys will not make a difference if this team's a rebuild or not. You can't have 18 guys on a roster that are 18 or 18 to 23. It's just not going to happen. No team does that. No team does that.
Well, I will say this, Mike. If we restart the rebuild, then that will pretty much mean that not only will we have to be trading away TK and Coots, we will also have to be trading away Risto, and probably be trading away even younger players than that. I mean, we want to restart, then that means we really restart, meaning that even players we brought in recently have to go too. Like, that's what restarting is. You're literally starting with nothing. I don't know if that
trajectory isn't always north, fellas. You have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I know. I blame smartphones. That's what's gotten us. And we can get information so quick. We expect things to happen now. It has to happen now, right? That's why it's like you almost see these guys half laughing at you when they're impressors, like Danny B today.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking?
Yeah, I don't think we would be getting him, Mike. I don't think we would.
Here's what's funny. Here's what's funny. Everybody's saying go get Gavin McKenna. Gavin McKenna may not even be the best player in the draft class. They're saying he could potentially drop into into 3 or 4. That's how good this draft class is. Ivar Stenberg, is probably going to be a better player than Gavin McKenna. So if you want to get Gavin McKenna, that's fine. I want Ivar Stenberg if they fall that far, but they're not going to. There's still enough talent on this team, and Vladar's playing well enough on this team to get this team back to the playoffs. It has
So many
to.
phenomenal saves tonight.
It has to. That has to be the end goal for this year. Whether it's you're making a deep run or you're out in the first round and get swept. Get to the playoffs.
I'm going to stress this again, guys. I said this before, fam. I'll say it again. Calm down. Calm down. I get it. I get it. I get it. It is very frustrating to watch this team lose games consistently. I'm not happy about it either. I hate it too. I don't like it. Calm down. Calm down. Let's take a breath. Take a minute. We're about to go into a long extended break. A lot of players are going to get a chance to calm down and really get a chance to work on their game and really get themselves back and center themselves again and refocus. They'll have a chance to then pick themselves back up, dust themselves off, and come back out of the break. We will find out more about this team in the second half when they come out of this break. If they come out of this break and they're playing like shit for an extended period of time, and when I say an extended period of time, I mean like we're 10 games in and they haven't figured anything out. Okay, we got something to worry about now. But if they come out and they're playing 10 games and things are looking good and things are back to, they're, even if they're hovering and they're not like dominating, but they're actually playing consistent, strong hockey, then it's like, okay, that's what they needed. They needed this break.
Yeah,
they needed the break more than anything else because clearly they didn't handle that stretch there towards the end very well. And again, we knew that this was going to be a challenge for this team. They just played really well at the beginning of the season, and now they came back down to earth.
And the other thing to keep in mind, too, no Tyson Forster in the lineup, and he's not coming back this year.
That's true.
That's another 20 to 25 goals. That's another 50 to 60 points that this team is missing right now.
That was such a shame, too, because he was having such a solid year.
He was ready to break out. He was ready to break out.
But Swoopy saying, I agree, but it all seemed it wasn't fully rebuilt in the way it should have been. Kept being mediocre and being competitive and fight to make the playoffs when they shouldn't have and kept being mediocre. A lot of that is also because of just, unfortunately, the previous regimes were desperately trying to squeeze more playoff berths out of the team that they shouldn't have, which, again, that was mistakes made by the previous regime. Unfortunately, when you inherit crap like that, you're going to have to deal with that. It's as simple as that. And that's unfortunate what Danny had to inherit. He had to inherit some bullshit when he took this team on. Chuck Fletcher did some damage to this team that needed to be worked on. And let's see here. And Mike saying we're still lacking center depth. You're right. You're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong. He says, right now I want to see Tocchet let Michkov get more minutes playing, which he is. We'll see what Michkov does with that. This is now the ball's in his court now. Tocchet has heard. He has made the minutes more available. So now it's Michkov's turn. It's like, all right, ball's in your court. You've got, better yet, puck's on your stick. Let's see what you can do with it, kid. You had a rough go of it this year. We still believe in you, but we want to see it. Come on. We want to see it. We know you can do it. So let's see it. And see, Swoopy saying, I make moves for guys like Tippett, then move him when he shows good play for a more younger player and picks up after years instead of signing him.
I got a quick question. When did Robert Saleh start coaching the Washington Capitals? Dude, this is stunt double.
Oh, it could absolutely be a stunt double. Swoopy, he's 26. The only reason why I would even suggest moving him is because you have a log jam at right wing and you got to make room. I'm not trading him because to get picks or anything. I'm not. If I don't have to, I'm not going to. He's 26 years old. How much younger do you want to go? He's young. He's just entering his prime.
Ooh. Oh, there
There
we
it is.
go. The slam dunk on the empty netter.
Who
from
got it?
downtown.
Was that Risto?
That was Risto.
My man. All right.
That's what I'm talking about, Risto. Up that trade value, buddy.
26.
And it was deserved too, because he definitely played well defensively and on the offensive rush as well, extending some plays by knowing when to pinch in. And the fourth line tonight played extremely well. I mean, it's good, good for Coots, I mean, as he's gotten demoted as well, and there's been some talk about maybe mixed feelings between head coach and Coots as well, and captain with that. But you don't want to eat sour grapes sometimes. I like what's being continued. And I didn't expect this. I thought Rick Tocchet would be Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Players Coach. We talked about that on this show and when we were talking about the potential hires. But during that, that interview during Flyers Carnival, one quote really stood out, and I had to blink rub my eyes, make sure it wasn't Torts back at Xfinity Mobile Arena. But Tocchet goes, "That's the rules of winning. The crest supersedes everything, not individuals." And it was just I like that this team has to win and lose together attitude, and you have to earn your keep. I think it's paying off, and I really feel that there was a message received also by Michkov tonight, as on that first goal he showed really good playmaking ability to create that opportunity, and that's what Tocchet wants to see. And it's a struggle. It's going to be a struggle for any KHL player to learn north-south, but that's just going to benefit his game, because then you can play all over the compass.
Flyers just got themselves their win. They just beat the Washington Capitals, who are higher than them in the standings. Yes, big win, beating the Caps tonight.
I mean, if your goal is to win now while you're building for the future, which I understand why it has to be mutually exclusive. That's what another thing that bewilders me about this conversation. But I just think this was a vital, like JJ said, a must-win game tonight in the penultimate game before the Olympic break. Washington was on the back end of a back-to-back, starting their backup goaltender, and the Flyers hadn't played since Saturday, so they were nice and fresh. This was a good 2 points to get, where you could still remain competitive, and that's where I think we'll never see eye to eye, almost like politics, where it's just, what is your philosophy for a team? It's up and coming, and I think that you've created the prospect pool. You can try to muster your last bit of draft capital right now, but now is the time where you start shooting for NHL ready caliber assets. That's the only thing I'm trading for.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Robbie. Like, at this point, there's enough young talent. You got enough draft picks right now where you can get more young talent. You have 1 first-round pick this year. You got 2 next year, potentially 2 next year. It depends on how things finish up as far as the condition goes. And then you got a ton of second-round picks over the next 3 years. Like, there's plenty of draft capital to bring in young guys. You have to, at some point, try and unload some of these bigger contracts, some of these older guys that you have, and get a little bit younger. I'm not saying that I want to move Tippett. He's 26. I want to hold on to him. Whether he's playing left wing, right wing, I don't care. Tippett needs to be held on to. TK needs to be held on to. You have to figure out a way to move some of these other players to allow guys like Porter Martone to come up, Tyson Forster to have his spot when he comes back. But Forster he's a little bit of a different story, because Forster can play center as well. So he's a little bit more versatile. You can put him in a couple of different spots. But yeah, you have to get NHL ready guys now if you want to make any kind of forward progress in this rebuild. Plenty of young guys. There's Nick Schultz is doing a great job in development as far as Phantoms go. I said that earlier in the show. It's time to start making some NHL moves. It's just time.
It is time.
So Mike is saying, what would you give to Minnesota for Wallstead in terms of a deal?
Ooh. I mean, for me, it's got to be centered around two things. And Rob, you're probably not going to like this, but if it gets a nice young goaltender like Jesper Wolstadt, I'm sending it around Bobby Brink and a first round pick. Not that I want to give up Brink, but if it gets a 23-year-old franchise goalie who has way more upside than Carson Bjarnason, you could also throw him in the mix too if you wanted to hold on to Brink. And he's a guy who's ready now, and he's a guy that's showing that he can play really well at the NHL level. Granted, it's a very different defense in front of him in Minnesota than what he would have in Philly, but I mean, the kid, the ceiling for this kid is astronomical.
He has something to prove though too yet, so it's not
Mhm.
it's not a good. It depends on what your realistic expectation and analysis is of Zavragan and his ability to get here in the States and play. Because if that's a foregone conclusion, then I'd be okay with trading Bobby Brink and Bjornsson no pick to get him, because you free up right wing and you're making that your step up in terms of prospect level to where your aim is to try to find the franchise guy. What's up, Greg? Nice win tonight indeed. Always
Yeah.
good to beat the grade 8.
Yeah, especially in his probably his last tour go around, which I didn't realize. Like, I didn't realize tonight was the first matchup of the season for these two teams.
Yeah,
Right?
started pretty late.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Tom Wilson leading the Caps in points and 22 goals nonetheless as well. I mean, he's always been for a brute, he's been, offensively endowed. but
Mhm.
but I mean, to lead the team in points, I mean, that's saying something. I've definitely ripped on the guy. I got to give credit where credit's due. I see something like that.
Mhm.
Jerk off though.
And then to answer Mike's other question, are the Buffalo Sabres are
Mhm.
really a playoff contender? It's like, well, it's looking like they are. I mean, they are currently tied with Tampa right now in third period. Their record currently is 32-18-5. So right now, as it stands, they're looking pretty good right now as a playoff team.
Yep. Yep. And they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. And it's actually the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. It's about time this team starts to put it together.
That-
Go figure, you fire Kevin Adams and that sparks the entire roster. Let's
Now
go.
here's the thing though. Where this could be possible, not trying to throw shade at Buffalo, although I hate the Sabres, but the point is that with the break being a good thing for the Flyers because they're not playing well right now,
I see where this is going.
this could crush the Sabres momentum full on by this break. It is a double-edged sword. So Buffalo will have an opportunity to prove that what they're doing right now is not a fluke when the second half of the season begins at the end of this Olympic break. As for the Flyers, they have to prove what they did at the very beginning of the season wasn't a fluke, and what's going on here in this middle stretch was just them being tired. So there's two different sides of that coin, that we are on one side, Buffalo being on the other. Anyway,
Washington's going to be a key team for the Flyers. Really quick, Maddie, for the Flyers to get back in the Metropolitan Division, which is going to be your only realistic shot of making the playoffs. And they do have some games in hand on the Islanders, but when they come back from the Olympic break, their first game is at Washington. They play them in mid-March, and then they play them at the end of March. So, it's definitely backloaded in terms of Washington, and they look pretty good against them in the matchup. So that could be a feather in the cap of a Flyers team that I believe started 5-0-1 against Metropolitan Division opponents, and then went 0-3-2. I believe they showed that stat during the game, or 0-3-5 over. No. 5-3. I think that's what it was. I'll look that up. But they definitely need to step back in terms of their overall record for the Metropolitan Division.
Well, this could have been the spark that put them in the right spot for that. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting with how the Flyers, again, I'm going to say this. If they come out of the break and they're struggling deep in after that break, I'd be worried then. If they come out of the break refreshed and they're coming out swinging and they're looking good and they're looking like they did at the beginning of the year, if not exactly the same way, but looking strong, then it's like, okay, we know what this team is. This team is a bubble team. That is what they are. I mean, honestly, I think we can all pretty much just assume that anyway.
I was going to say that's definitely
Yeah.
something I'm thinking now.
Right. But I think if we see that in the second half, that'll just reinforce it even more so. Because I'm sure there's people who are thinking, no, they're not. There are people who are thinking, oh, well, they're just a last place team. I wouldn't say that they're a last place team. That's a little unfair, to what the Flyers were able to do early on in the season. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think what they've done this year is a fluke. I don't. The year with Torts, that might have been. That might very well have been. I'll give you that one. But if you're going to say this year, I don't know. I feel like this team is still tenacious because they've taken a beating, but they keep on coming back. So, and I mean, look at what they did here. They wound up beating the Capitals, a team that, quite frankly, even if they were tired on a back-to-back, Capitals probably should have won tonight. Probably should have. Caps probably should have won tonight because they needed to win this game against the Flyers to keep
True.
burying a team in the Metro that they're going to have to compete with for a playoff spot.
We still have 3 games against.
Right. So Flyers got a big win. So this team is still resilient despite what they're going through. I'm going to say that. Just want that to be remembered. Just remember that. Anyway, so despite the win, Flyers going into the break, good way to end your first half of the season. It was a rough little landing there down the stretch on that first half. Now it's time to refuel and recharge. Come back, see how they fly in the second half. Hopefully they fly much better at the end there. All the same, though, after this win, what would you expect? Do you think that the Flyers come back in stronger in the second half? Like, how do you feel knowing that they're going to have the Capitals that they're going to be seeing right out of the break?
Well, they're going to be playing a very hot Ottawa team, I believe, heading into the break. So
yeah.
I think it's really important to get points in this leading into and leave that good taste in your mouth for that couple of weeks. Right. And that can really spurn the mojo when it comes on the other side. It's going to be a key game in terms of how they come back. I did find out the record. They started off the year, like I said, 5-0-1 against Metropolitan Division, and they've been 1-5-3 since. So, well, now 2-5-3. So, basically, I think this was a key win against, and then if you're also too, if Ottawa's going to make a surge, you got to win the point battle there as well. So try to get those points. You can't keep on getting that singular point and then losing that second opportunity. That comes and bites you in the ass. What up, D?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, this team's young enough and they seem hungry enough. Yeah, you're going to get ups and downs, but I think if they can get those 2 points against Ottawa going into the break, that's definitely going to give them a little bit more momentum. Now, what happens after those 2 weeks? Hopefully, they can carry it through and bring it back out when they come back. Now, with the roster freeze tomorrow, and I think it's noon or something like that. Like maybe we'll see a move or two before that, but I'm expecting Danny to make moves after. So this roster could look a little bit different within a game or two from the rosters unfreezing. That being said, this team has to come out a little bit more hungry. They have to come out juiced, and they have to come out. I don't want to say they have to come out fast, but they can't come out slow. They have to get points in, I'd say, probably the first 3 games for me to believe that this team is going to push for a playoff spot. And yeah, it's a tough situation for them to be in, but I think there's enough talent on this team to get back to where they want to be. It's just going to be up to the leadership and the coaching staff to push them and get them there. And honestly, I would love to see TK be the one who lights the fire under everybody's asses and gets them going. And I think he will be, especially come that second half.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, the first game, of course, out of the break is the Capitals, where they'll be in Washington. After that, they'll be playing the New York Rangers. Then they'll be facing the Bruins and then the Maple Leafs. And then the Mammoth will be in Philadelphia. I wonder how that game's going to go.
It's a payback.
Right. I mean,
Not that they did anything bad. They just played
Right.
their game. Cathway. Oh,
yeah, actually, if anything, it'd be more like revenge on Hathaway for that one. It's like, yeah, man.
ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, but those are the first games that they'll have coming out of the break. So they'll be playing some interesting teams here. I mean, obviously, you definitely want to beat the Capitals and the Rangers. I mean, especially the Rangers. And then the Bruins, I mean, they played like shit against the Bruins, but hopefully they can play better against them in this go around. The Leafs, they've actually played the Leafs pretty well. Even if they didn't get the result last time, they still played them pretty good. And then the Mammoth, well, the less said about that, the better. So,
yeah. I've never believed in Mike Sullivan. I did not think that was the answer for them. So,
yeah.
If you want to talk about wrong head coach after year one, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think Mike Sullivan.
I'm being facetious. I really am.
Oh, I'm not. I think Mike Sullivan's a product of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
I think
Like
all
Dan
his
Bylsma?
success came because of him.
so just like Dan Bylsma.
Yeah. Just like Dan Bylsma. It's a lot easier to do your job as a coach when you have the best player and arguably the best player in the world as your team captain. So he makes everybody on that team better, and it makes it so much easier.
And Mike is saying, who would have thought the Rangers would be this bad? I mean, I don't think any Rangers fans would have thought that, when considering the fact that the team had been competitive literally about as far back as last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Hey, hey, Mike, I saw your comment about the Ducks. They're going to be on TNT in a few minutes, so if you want to swing on to TNT and check them out, shameless plug. Get some of your answers. Just watching them there, they've been pretty good this year.
Fuck that dirty team. Oh, sorry.
What are we mad about? We beat them. So
Yeah, right. Seriously.
True.
beat them like a rented mule.
Hey,
Anyway.
hey.
So, with that being said, gentlemen, before we close out this, I will say I can understand. One last thing I'll say before we move on. I understand where the fans are coming from, though, and I understand exactly why the fan is worried, because we have seen this. We've seen this play, and we've seen this song and dance many, many times where the Flyers, they say one thing, they do another. I get it. We've seen it before. Flyers get a couple of players to put a shot in the arm, and then they try to be competitive, and they're just mediocre at best. Not good enough to get into the Stanley Cup Finals, good enough to get into the playoffs, maybe even the second round. But then that's it. That's all they've got in the tank. I get it. I saw it too. We all lived through it for a good long while there. But let's just, again, breathe. We got a big win against the Capitals tonight. We have a game against the Ottawa Senators coming up a couple days. And the Flyers, the schedule makers are not doing any of the Flyers who are competing in the Olympics any favors, because immediately after Ottawa, they'll have to get on a flight to Italy. But the point is that
It's gonna be a rough flight.
yeah. So poor Risto. Anyway, the point being is, guys, relax, calm down. Like, I get it. It's hard to watch your team lose games. It's not fun. But let's just relax, okay? This team is not dead. We still have a whole other second half of the season to go. Calm down. Calm down. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, like,
Anyway,
I get what the media is kind of trying to do. What I don't understand is, I guess I kind of get it, but in that same breath, it's kind of like you want to develop young talent. You want to be a team that has, but you play guys like Deloria, you play guys like Hathaway, you leave guys like Gabrankin's noticeable in every single game. I said that earlier tonight, and I'm going to say it again. It's just, it just annoys me to no end that like a guy I was talking to at work the other day, he brought up a great comparison to this. This is like the scene in Moneyball when Brad Pitt and Philip Seymour Hoffman are battling over the lineup saying, play Hatterberg. No, I'm going to play Pena. Oh, you can't play Pena. I traded Pena. You got to put Hatterberg. That's kind of what this feels like with Michkov. And one of the best quotes that I got from that is Tocchet wants, and this is from Danny's presser between warm-ups and puck drop. Tocchet wants Matvey to succeed. He wants to develop him and be the best player he can be. Along the way, there's tough lessons that comes with that. It's like raising a child. You want him to be the best player, but you only play him 10 minutes a game. He's not going to develop that way. He needs Celebrini, top 6 minutes. Connor Bedard, top 6 minutes. Matthew Schaefer, he's getting top pairing minutes. Your top Cutter Gauthier, he's getting top 6 minutes. What's the thing this all this has in common? They're all top 10 draft picks. They're all young players still developing their game. Why are they ahead of Michkov right now? Because they're playing 20, 25 minutes a game. That's the difference. He needs to be on the ice 20 to 25 minutes a game. I don't care if he's playing left wing or right wing. To me, that does not matter. He needs to be on the ice 20 to 25 minutes to get to where he needs to be. He's top-end talent. He needs to be treated like top-end talent and not treated like a bottom 6 player who might not have a future in the league. That's the part that annoys me because Michkov has 40-goal future. He's the scorer that this team needs. He's a franchise player, and he's not getting treated like one. I understand his frustration. And Danny also said that Matvey's not going anywhere. Good, he shouldn't. There's no reason to make him go anywhere. The only reason he's going to go anywhere is because he's not getting treated the way that he should. He's not getting the time that he should. Pavel Mintyukov with Anaheim potentially wants out because he's not getting the minutes that he should get. Why? Because there's a logjam. He needs to play 20 to 25 minutes a game for him to find his play again. You want him to be a 70, 80 point guy? Great. Give him the time. You want him to be the guy that he is right now? Keep him on the third and fourth lines. Keep him with guys who just are going to keep him from taking that next step. He needs to be a top 6 player.
What is he doing to deserve that right now going into tonight's game?
I mean, he's struggling a little bit with the new system. Rick Tocchet also wants him to play more of a defensive game, which, okay, I can understand that. You want your guys to be two-way guys. But in that same breath, what are some of these other guys that are above him doing? I mean, Michkov is putting up more assists than anybody else. Or I'm sorry. He's putting up more assists than goals is what I mean to say. He's putting up more assists than goals. So he's still putting up points. I get it. Zegras is putting up more points. He needs to be a top line player. I get that. TK, same breath. Tipper, same thing. Like these, I get it. And yeah, there's a little bit of a logjam here, but I mean, he's got to play 20, 25 minutes. And I think we'll see an increase in his play.
Well, then it's Danny and Keith's job to make this lineup more, to free up that logjam, to allow that to be earned, not given, but earned. Now, tonight we saw him with 15:54, which was a stark difference from last game by over 5 minutes. So that's a start, right? But I just don't think, based on you come into the year out of shape, that you're just going to be handed top 6 minutes. It doesn't send it. It basically sends the wrong message to a player that could easily feel and start feeling entitled, especially in this generation, right?
Yeah.
Rear that work ethic, teach them the full landscape of the game, free up the log jam, right? And allow them to triumph into that role. And that is what I feel will happen here. But I mean, you're not going to get the results until he gets the top 6 minutes. That we're in agreement with, right? And you know, like I said, I mean, just know that the shield's the most important thing. I love that.
I agree.
That attitude. What I just find is I like to listen to former players, right? And Biz is not on that list, but when I hear Biz calling Philly fans fucking morons on Spittin' Chicklets, you know, in this case, rarely I'm in agreement with them because the people just are not having patience and the sense, right? Then it's like a big stirrup pot. Like people are just going off, like they're unhinged online. Yeah. So I like to listen to players, you know, that played this game, have been in this league, right? And know that this is just, excuse the expression, all part of the process.
Yeah. And that's what Danny says. Like I'm with you. Like I agree with you. Pretty much on all of that. I think it should be earned, but you know, in that same breath too, you got a logjam pretty much everywhere. Right. And that's what makes it really hard to really be like, okay, well, we could at least put him on the second line. Okay, well, who's going down to the third? I mean, I think he's playing really well with Cates and Brink. I think they're forming some really good chemistry together.
Right.
But again, for me, it's all about giving him the minutes to get the production. He's still top 5 on the team in points. He's got 28, far from where he was at this point last year, but you know, I think you see more production the more that he's on the ice, and he'll play a little bit more confident game, which I think you're starting to see a little bit.
Right. And I've loved what I've seen from lower brow players like Grabenkin, but if they increase their trade value, that could be another potential move to where then if by that point Matt Bay has developed more on the left wing and he can slide up and fill up that role that was currently, you know, occupied by Grabenkin tonight on the top line with Dvorak and TK. So that would be exciting to see. But if you're able to, you know, if they do make a bigger deal and move a Tippett, move a Brink, right? That's when, you know, you can like think about shifting him over back to the right wing. I think you have, I mean, like once you free it up, then you have to give him that opportunity. That's what I'm in agreement with the people. So, I mean, like that, like it's great. I get that you're developing the player, but he's not going to lose that sense if you put him back and you see that's where he's playing on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
So he's playing mostly on the right anyway. So, but you see Zegras sliding the center, getting that opportunity now. That's wise, and that makes his team a little deeper in center, where that way you can get a little more flexible with the wing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about comments and quotes earlier on, and I do believe that we have some on deck that we can talk about. I know that you threw out one there, Bri, but I know we have other ones. So I think now would be a good time to throw those out there before we say goodbye to the fam tonight. And Jesse's even saying this fan base are a bunch of morons. This isn't a coaching issue. It's an upper management / player issue. So I think that's a good segue into what you got loaded up there, Rob.
Right on. Go for it. Yeah, I mean, this is the sound clip that I was referring to with Biz and on Spittin' Chicklets.
All right then. So here, let's add that on here, and here we go.
Sometimes on the outline, it'll just say Biz has a message. It says Biz has a message for Philadelphia Flyers fans.
I think Philadelphia Flyers fans are completely unhinged online right now. Buddy, honestly, they're fucking morons. You can cold board that too.
Oh,
what are they saying?
And I ain't squashing those rumors. Well, I saw one comparing Michkov to Lindros. That Pocket's going to run the biggest superstar we've had since Eric Lindros out of town. So the Michkov storyline, it's never ending. It's quite incredible. And I believe Talk was on a radio show or something saying, like, he came in out of shape. I don't know what you want me to say.
What do they see in him that nobody else sees?
They just want.
Draft scouting reports.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I don't feel like giving it my oxygen and energy anymore, other than just saying they're fucking morons. Like I'm not like, it's bad when I'm not even arguing with you because I think you're that stupid. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm a fucking moron, but you guys are. I would get into Harvard compared to how stupid these fucking people are and how much energy they're spending on this particular topic. And they're like, look at his Corsi. He played only 10 minutes and look at all of his Corsi and numbers here. Yeah, buddy. They're that fucking nice because of the line matches and the situation he's putting him in.
Yeah, they're protecting him.
He's protecting him. He's doing him a fucking favor. And all you're doing is trying to drag his name through. Oh, what has he done? He's a fucking year and a half removed from winning a Jack Adams.
You're just sticking up for your friend.
That's it.
Yeah. Did he text you and tell you to say that?
I'm Rick Talkin. Take the face, take the mask off. But he ain't even. That's the fucking thing. Like, hook me up to a lie detector test and ask me how many times that Rick Talkins texted me about Michkov. He's probably on Zoom calls with BetterHelp, fucking dealing with these fucking Flyer fans all day long, spending all their time and energy on this. Like, you guys are not you weren't a playoff team. It was all you were bringing up throughout the first part of the year when you were in a playoff spot, and now it's unraveling, and then all you want to do is hand him. Out of spite, I would legit play him 25 minutes every game for the rest of the season. That's what I would do. And I'm over it. I'll go to war for talk. That's how much I love him. But these people are moronic. Do you agree with me? Do you not see what's happening online? It's all they want to talk about.
I mean, it's hard to deny that. It's
a
hard to deny that.
little harsh, and in a way, Biz can go get fucked. But they're not wrong, and you see what they're doing for him, and you just people this outside point of view where they think they know everything, right? That maybe there's a rhyme and reason for what people that have been in the industry, a guy that's a year and a half removed from a Jack Adams, right? Like, everybody's an expert anymore. Including me. I guess maybe I'm projecting to be an expert too. This is just my humble opinion.
Yeah, and I was literally about to say that as soon as you stopped. I'm like, dude, we're not experts. We're not trying to be right. We're trying to give you a conversation. We give you our opinions. We're not flexing muscles here. We are humble. We will listen to everybody's opinion. We will give you ours. I'm not a talk guy. I don't think he was the right coach for this position, but by no means do I think he should be fired, and I know a lot of fans that do. I by no means think could he be handling Michkov a little bit off, maybe, but this is his job. Like, this is what he's doing. He's doing what he thinks is best for this team.
What is wrong with challenging a man to play it better? I mean, when did that become a problem? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, come on. What world do we live in? I think I'm going to check out. I think I'm going to stop doing this show and move to Montana because I'm done. I'm ready. I'm ready to hit the dusty trail.
And I understand the frustration of this fan base. They want the playoffs.
Are you going to own I'm sorry, Rob. I got to ask one question, Robbie. Are you going to own a ranch out there in Montana? You going to call it Yellowstone?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, just had to ask. But anyway, Brian, what were you going to say?
I'm just saying, like, I understand this fan base is, they're ready for the playoffs. I'm ready for this team to be in the playoffs. I love. There's nothing better in the NHL playoffs than the Philadelphia Flyers being, a team that is completely a wild card because they're a mid to low seed and they could potentially run the table. Nobody wants that more than us. But we also understand that there's a whole process to this. Danny Briere, there's a whole process to this. He also went on to say, with just the relationship between Michkov and Tocchet, there's nothing's wrong with their relationship. They're very close. They're very good with each other. He went on to say sometimes they're fiery. Sometimes when you're not winning, things are done and said. But when he comes back to their table, they always come back to their table. They want what's best for the team. You can't argue with that. You love to hear that.
Right. I mean, we know why they're fighting, because they want to win. They're mad because they want to win. They don't want to keep losing. They want to keep winning.
But that's the thing, Maddie. I don't think anybody's really at each other's throats. It's the media twisting things and to Rob's point, trying to act like inside experts.
Right. Where they don't know what's going on. They're not there every day. They don't really know what's happening at the
They're
end of the day.
exactly. They're creating controversy to create controversy.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any to be there.
Right. And again, as I'm not surprised, in a market like Philadelphia, this is a market where the microscope is very heavy and it will be very easy to find on. Is it as bad as Toronto? I don't know, but I will say it can get pretty bad out here. It can get pretty rough when you're wearing an orange and black jersey, or if you're a Sixer, or if you're an Eagle, or if you're a Philly. That microscope's going to be on your ass if you are a high profile player. And what a shock. People are automatically going crazy when it comes to things not going exactly as planned. But the truth of the matter is that they kind of went even better than planned, because most people were projecting this team to be a bottom feeder. So at the end of the day, if you're looking at it from that perspective, and maybe it's the glass half full, but look at what the Flyers did this first half compared to what most people were expecting them to do. Most people were expecting this team to be done and dead by this point, and they're not. So I think that should at least be a little bit somewhat comforting. I would hope, right? Just a little bit. No? No one's happy about that? No one's happy that this team is actually flirting with the idea of being in the playoffs? Like something we haven't seen in years?
I mean,
Sure, maybe it's a little bit ahead of schedule, but I mean,
is that a bad thing?
right, is success such a bad thing for a team that's still trying to find its identity and maybe have found it, possibly? I'm just saying. I mean, maybe I'm delusional. Maybe we don't want to be successful around here. Maybe we just want to be bottom feeders the entire time. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Imagine you achieve a little bit with this group and the camaraderie builds, and then all of
Right.
a sudden you enter Jetlachenko full time on this roster, and let alone Alex Bump, you know,
Mhm.
Oliver Bonk, and it pushes guys out, and you gotta like move along away from move like you said earlier in the show, Brian, part with guys that you really like, but there's upgrades behind, and then the team just continues to grow and get better, right? I've never appreciated the idea of not making a push for the playoffs for the sake of draft capital. That's a very NBA thing to do. That's different league, different line of thinking. And it's shown that you can get talent up and down the ranks of the first round.
Right.
You can.
And we don't even necessarily even need to trade guys. There's 4 UFAs on this roster right now at the end of the year, and that's Grundstrom, who I wouldn't mind signing to a small deal. Delorier, he can kick rocks. Rodrigo Abels, I'm on the fence about him because I think the time that he has had with this team has been good. Not spectacular, but for his role, he's been good. And then you have Noah Jolson, who I would probably re-sign to a 1-year deal.
I would say
that's going to free up some spots for sure.
I mean, yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, Abels looks like a guy who could be a journeyman. He'll probably go from he won't be spending his whole career here in Philadelphia, and then same thing with Jolson, another guy who while he's been not bad, he's another guy that he'll probably find his way to another team at some point. It's like these are not players that I expect to be wearing an orange and black jersey for very long.
Hey, for what it's worth, it was a good guy that you scouted from the Swedish Hockey League. He came over and he filled a need during your transitional period as an organization, and that's what you need. And guys that you'll eventually move on from, and they'll prove their worth, and maybe go to a St. Louis team or maybe even a San Jose team, and do the same for them as well. And then lo and behold, they're living a dream. So. it's really a win-win situation. But I mean, eventually you free up the pipeline, and then things will be ready to rock. I just, you know, it can't happen soon enough for some people.
Right. Again, as usual, the fan base, there's people who are ready to jump off of either the Ben Franklin or the Betsy Ross or the Burlington Bristol or whatever bridge is closest to them, because of the Flyers having a really rough patch there towards the end of the first half of the season. Again, before we close out, let's take a breath and let's be happy that the Flyers are even being uttered in playoff talk, when last year we weren't even thinking about that because they were that bad and they were dead last, if not dead last, second to last.
Maddie,
So that's an improvement.
When it comes down to it, let me coin a phrase from one of your guys. Jumping on is a lot easier than jumping off. That's all I'm saying.
So with that, that'll do it. And we don't have any more comments or clips to play, right?
No, I mean, I got a few, but I think at this point, it's kind of beating a dead horse. It's just different variations, kind of saying the same thing. I mean, Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thoughts podcast said, referring to I guess it's a relationship of the Flyers with Rick Tocchet, is he's too important. You have to finish the season on an upswing. I can imagine the Flyers as an organization were unhappy with some of the commentary on the weekend. I think generally you have to keep that stuff in-house. And that's a quote from Elliot Friedman, which I agree. Like, this stuff never should have gotten out. We honestly, like, as good as this could potentially be for us as a show, this is a conversation we should not even be having right now, because some guys on a podcast decided to have him on as a guest. They took advantage of having Keith Jones and Rick Tocchet on the same day from the Flyers Carnival. And now look at where we are.
It's sort of like you asked the question repeatedly and it just broke down, at least talk. And he's like, what can I say? The guy came out of shape. What do you want me to say here, bro? No. You know what I mean? Like, he goes, let me be frank. As soon as you hear someone say, let me be frank, shit's about to get real.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact is that if you want to insult Rick Tocchet for anything, dude, that's what you're paid to do, is show composure when you're asked questions. Right? Don't be torts like that. You know what I mean? Where you wind up putting your foot in the mouth and airing out dirty laundry, because that's what could cause bad blood. And that's what could cause a team like, a player like Michkov wanting to, ask to be traded where he'll get more minutes, because you're like, why aren't you coming talking to me like, like that? Right? Why are you airing dirty laundry in the media? But it's just, I don't know. Like, the wrong people get in the situations to ask the questions.
Mm-hmm. And it's so easy these days to be able to twist every little thing that's said. And I think that's what a lot of this is. A lot of it is all misinterpreted. I think a lot of it is all being misinformation and twisting things that these guys are saying based off of the little information that they're giving them. Like you said, Rob, it just, a lot of this seems like it's all clickbait. And that's the thing that probably annoys me the most, is that particular purpose.
Right. Well, that was the inspiration for the thumbnail. I tried to make it so movie production, like Naked Gun. Boom. Everything's about to explode in Philly again. No. What will we do?
So, yeah, I definitely think that, comments are going to be comments. People are going to say what they're going to say, and they're going to try and interpret things a certain way. And if you're going to interpret it as, oh, well, this team must not be getting along, it's like, I don't know. Seems like they're getting along just fine to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, obviously you either got dropped on your head or you think you know something when you don't know shit. So, as Rob said earlier,
the players are a tight-knit group. We've seen it all throughout. Even in the losses, working together. I mean, Zegras has been great in that, in terms of, what headspace he's gotten himself in, and thus starts influencing others as a guy that's, sort of in between that young player and veteran role.
This is why I think sometimes I feel like maybe not all, some players, I feel sometimes they envy other players in certain markets where hockey is not necessarily as highly analyzed or highly, overly analyzed is a better word to say
Right.
for it. Sometimes I
Right.
feel like there's a beauty in that where it's just like I can just play hockey at the end
Mhm.
of the
Right.
day and just develop without having to hear, John Buttfuck over here telling me, that I suck at my game. It's like, sure, that's why you're sitting there criticizing me, and I'm over here getting paid to do something that you could never do. That's all I got to say is like, okay, best keep those comments to yourself at the end of the day, So, anyway, with that, I think we can all say let's be happy with the fact that the Flyers are where they are when we thought they were going to be a bottom feeder and they're actually competing. Let's take some solace in that. Let's give a little bit of credit to them for what they've done. Let's not devalue what they've done this year because of a bad stretch and some comments made on a podcast by someone who was trying to get goat out of Rick Tocchet. And fuck you for that, by the way. So the point that I will say is this. Rick Tocchet is our coach. He's doing what he can. Is he going to be perfect? No. And I think we can all agree he's not been perfect.
Yeah.
But look at where the team has been compared to where the team was. The fire's still there.
Mhm.
And that was there because Tocchet's here. Wasn't here with Torts. Wasn't here. It disappeared after a year. So I don't know what you want me to tell you.
As long as you're pulling the strings at like a 75 clip, right? You know what I mean? You're getting called 3 times out of 4, right? That's great. Like I'll take that 8 days a week and
Yeah.
I mean, there's
So
definitely holes to fill in this roster, but they're not far off. They're really not. Like I said, you got a couple free agents at the end of the year. You're going to probably move a couple pieces. You're going to free up some roster spots. The only big question is what do you do with the backup goalie position? Because I think Sam Erson's the biggest part that's hindering this team. You had that little stretch where Vladar was hurt, and you had no choice but to start Sam Erson. That's the only thing. Like if Sam Erson, if they don't go on that stretch where Dan Vladar misses about 2 weeks, this team's in probably a completely different position right now. They just play different when Vladar's in net.
right.
So with that, I think that now good time that we wind this thing down. We thank everybody for joining us. Let's take a deep breath. Let's be happy with where we're at. And let's be hopeful that when the second half of the season rolls around, the Flyers will be in an even better spot by the end of that second half than where they are even currently, which isn't that bad. It is not that bad. I can't stress it enough. It is not that bad.
My parting advice is very, meditation mantra, like just breathe, just breathe, it is what it is. I mean, when it comes to the end of this, Flyer season, it's going to be interesting. And to see, where people will be eating crow.
Yeah. People
Hope so.
may very well possibly be.
Well, just my meditative moment of the night is live in the moment. Forget about what happened yesterday. Let's not think about after the break. We played the Washington Capitals and we beat their ass.
Yep.
Let's celebrate that.
Yep.
Right. And then celebrate that and focus on getting a win on Ottawa before taking a break. Let's focus on that. So we thank everybody for joining us, for the fam here. As always, thank you very much. And we hope and we pray that at the end of this second half of the season, the Flyers will be still thriving as they were at the very beginning of the season. And even with rough patches, that they'll still show that resiliency that they've shown all year. Thank you, Don. And we
Appreciate you, D.
were brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. If you got any aches and pains, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, he's the guy to go. I think that's what the fans need to do. The fan needs to go see the doc. They need to get these aches and pains out of them. I think that's what the problem is. Not enough people visiting the doc. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Obviously, we will not have a game to live react to next week. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an Olympic hockey game to talk about. But all the same, though, we hope everyone enjoys the Winter Olympics, and we hope everybody enjoys this little break here with a chance to recharge and refuel and get ready for the second half of the season. And we hope that everybody stays safe and stay healthy out there. Until next time, peace and love, everyone.